Do you know how to empty the dishwasher? When you get dressed, do you need to look up a book on how to do it? Do you need to watch a video? What about brushing your teeth, driving, walking to public transport, going to the shops? All of these things are probably low effort activities for you. Yes, they might take some time and they might take some physical energy, but they are low concentration activities. But the problem with that is that they can clutter your mind. They can preoccupy you with low value activities. And so today on the Learn to Implement podcast, I'm going to share with you a very small, simple approach to getting past that clutter. That's probably the best word for it. That clutter in your mind of the 1,001 things that you've got to do. I was walking the other day, walking back from my coffee shop, and I thought, I had a notepad in my hand with a physical paper and pen. And even as I was walking, not a terribly efficient way of writing, I thought, I'm just going to write down every single idea that comes to me, especially things that I need to do. So I was walking home from the coffee shop the other day, about a 10 or 15-minute walk, and I had with me pen and paper. Not a great way to record things while you were walking, not a terribly efficient way of doing it, but I thought I'll just challenge myself here. I'm just going to write down every single random idea that occurs to me. I remembered that I needed to get a swimming pool filter, a part for our filter. We had to cancel something that we had sold on Facebook Marketplace, and so we had to log in and mark it as sold. I had to record a video for my YouTube channel. I knew that I had to do a bank reconciliation. There was some rubbish out in the street that I needed to pick up. And then there was something also with one of my children's banking. I needed a productivity. I needed to convert some tasks that I had in one app to move them to a different app. I wrote down all of these things. There was a financial advisor I needed to call. I wrote down all of these things, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 things in 10 minutes. Just to give you an idea of how many of those little tasks and activities just occur to you. And if you don't deal with them, then they come back to visit you. And sometimes at a really inopportune time, at which point they are really distractions. They could happen when you're trying to get to sleep, or maybe when you are driving, or maybe the wrong time of the day. I've got to call the gas company and arrange my automated payment. I need to change that bill smoothing amount. But of course, when I think of it, it's exactly the wrong time. The gas company's support line is not there at that time. And so what I'm going to speak about today is those little things that are just niggling away and that you are postponing. Okay, you're committing your future self to get back to them. And isn't that a really common phrase that we use in business and in life? I'll get back to you. But then we don't. We don't get back to them, usually. Often we don't. And so what's the alternative to all of this clutter of thousands of things? Well, yes, you can write it down. Yes, you can commit to those things. But one of the things that I don't have down there, but which I did, is to empty the dishwasher. Now, why didn't I write it down? Well, it's because I do it anyway. I've got such a habit of doing that when I get home from the coffee shop. I will most likely, if the dishwasher has gone through a cycle, I will empty the dishwasher. That's just part that I've got it as a habit. And so that's not something, even though it occupies a bit of my time, it's not occupying a lot of my mental energy. It's not taking up a lot of concentration. And so this is the theme for today, or the message for today's podcast episode of Learn to Implement, is what tasks can you do? What activities can you do that you can turn into habits? And the reason that's important is that when they are habits, they become less preoccupying. They become less of something that is a burden that you think, I don't know how to do this. I've got to work my way through this. I've got to think about that. I've got to remember to do this. And so you're giving yourself permission almost to forget them, not to forget to do them. Yes, you can certainly record them in an app, you can write them down, but that you can give yourself permission not to be focused on them because you know, hey, I've already got the habit. I already know how to brush my teeth. I don't need to look that up. So, what things that you do that you think are one off or that you've never done before that you, with a little bit of effort up front, could turn into a habit? If you create content like I'm doing, and perhaps you can create a habit of sharing that content straight afterwards. If you are learning something, listening to something in a podcast, listening to an idea, a quote, a joke, a story, you could commit to writing it down, yeah, or maybe sharing it with somebody else. And that's your little promise. I promise that I'm going to tell this little story with one person today. And so that will help you to imbibe that lesson. And it also helps you to develop good habits. And once you actually start to develop those habits, you can apply them in so many other ways, so many other areas, so many of those things that are feeding in to your inbox, to your mental inbox, you can let go of. You can say, hey, I've got a habit for that. So just as when apps and mobile apps first came out, people used to joke there is an app for that. Well, I would say there is a habit for that. So that's the thing that is going to help you move from being a learner to being an implementer, is to develop good small habits. Thanks again for listening. This is episode 3 of Learn to Implement, and I'm Anthony English.